Hi, thanks for joining me. My name is Christina Allison. I'm going to do a short presentation today about a communication crisis you are currently having. I'm going to go over a communications theory as an analysis of that situation. After the analysis, we'll come up with strategies for this issue as well as future issues should they come again. And then we'll wrap it up with a full conclusion. Please enjoy the presentation.
Communication. The communication issue today will be with the internal communications of an organization. We're going to be using the theory by Peter L. Berger. He was a social constructionist, and he comes from that perspective. Part of the problem of the messaging for the internal communications is the lack of communication. After several interviews and surveys with the current employees, the gaps were showing that there was no strategic plan, consistencies, or tools to enable them to continue in the internal communication threshold. Berger's social constructionist theory is based on basically the idea of perspectives. So when you look at your organization as a whole and what the beliefs are, as far as the communications are, it is how they are interpreting it from both ends, from the leadership perspective that you are communicating and from the employee perspectives that they are not. Things that came out really clear in this investigation was that there was no real clear mission and values being communicated throughout the organization at any level, even though there is technically both a mission and value statements, they are not communicated well within the organization. There's a lot of feeling of being disconnected within the organization, and definitely since it is a top-down organization, there seems to be a direct disconnect from the executive level to the frontline level. So unrespectability has a lot to do with languaging and how we are communicating from a perspective of where we are as basically a social class and how we communicate that. It shows up in this organization really more defined as that there is the executive level and the communication is at that level and not anywhere else. Relativization has to do, is the motif of that for Berger, is his third thing, and it highlights the significance of not understanding the world. The difference of cultures, diverse languages, beliefs, and how you get to understand the world. I believe this also shows up at this organization in the fact, again, by how it's communicated and what is seen as communication and where is it going in the organization. The motif of Cosmopolitan is being open to ideas and solutions, and I do believe this organization at all levels is really geared to this motif, being open to having this communication structure be much more concise and fulfilling for the organization that can truly get better at its communication than it is right now. A lot of the history that had happened in the past in this organization and the belief systems that are currently in its function in communication has a lot of its base in those four motifs that we brought up with Berger. It is trying to have a shift in those perspectives to be able to communicate what it is that you want to communicate as an organization. That starts with great clarity, focus, and being very strategic in that communication. Who is the audience? What is it that you're trying to get to them? And what is it that they need to hear? Those are two different perspectives. And are they in alignment as the organization is going forward? Once those two communication styles from the executive level and the frontline level have some more clarity using these motifs, this will be able to structure it so much more with so much more clarity and truly a strategic way of getting information to everybody. Communication takes on so many levels and again are somewhat pieces of a puzzle. And using Berger's theory of digging a little bit deeper into this organizational communications issues, it really is just shifting our perspectives. What's going to happen? How are we going to get from here to there? How are we going to have a level playing field for everybody to play on? As social beings, the languaging that we use does create an environment and a belief from those who are listening to or communicating of these ideas. There are a lot of things that can be done and tools that can be used to have internal communications become so much more clear. To get what the executives are trying to say down to the front line in a much more cohesive way than what's happening currently in this organization. And it will take a true strategic plan of speaking to the audience from the speaker and what it is that you truly want to convey from both sides of that. Strategic communication is an ongoing, changing thing because, as Berger says, we are influenced by the languages that are in our own environment, our own perspectives, and how do we bring those to the table to be more cohesive and more inclusive as a social part of our organization. This organization has a lot going for it, and a lot is going on, but the communication is a little bit lacking. And you can see where those pieces are missing based on this theory, asking people what it is that they're getting and what is being assumed is being given. So having a strategic plan that is really clear and focused on the audience that you are going to be speaking to based on their experiences and their communication styles is key here. And I know that that can happen. And then the other communication is their external communication. And that again is getting really clear on who your audience is and what their expectations are. Not just historically, but what it is that the needs that they have today. I hope we can work together. And this has been a great opportunity to spend some time with you. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. Thank you.